Hey everybody, welcome back. Finally getting around to do my Flashback Weekend video. So Flashback Weekend is a Chicago horror convention that has been going on since 2002, I believe is when it started. I've been going to them since 2006, and since 2006 I've only missed one show, and that was in 2012. And because I did move from Chicago to Texas last year, so last year was my last one while I was still living in Chicago. And so I did vow that every year, as best I could, I was going to try and always go back for Flashback. It's a good convention to go to, not just because I love the convention itself, but also a lot of my friends go to that. So I get to see them, who I miss more and more, the longer I'm away from them. So I decided to actually drive, which may or may not have been the smartest thing to do because it's like a 17-hour drive without stops. So I did it over the course of 2 days. So I left the Wednesday before and ended up driving about 11 hours. I was not planning to drive for that long, but there was a hotel in Missouri that I stayed at when I was driving down when I was moving. And I was just like, if I can get the energy just to make it to that hotel, because it's a good hotel, and I was like, that way, because it's not too far from the Illinois border, so then basically I'm just driving the rest of the way in Illinois. It's just still like 6 hours, so it's not like it's a small amount or anything, but I managed to drive 11 hours and a plus, because not including stops, although I did keep the stops to a minimum. But I did get to Missouri and stay at the hotel. Thursday I drove the rest of the way up to the hotel, Crown Plaza in Chicago, in Rosemont technically, where Flashback was staying, and I got to meet up with my friend Jerry, who luckily got there a day early as well. And what was cool was that he put in a request that the two of us have rooms next to each other, which was really cool. So you know how in a lot of hotels you have that door that opens up between two rooms, so we got to open them up. So it was almost like we were roommates for the weekend, which was a lot of fun. Just basically close the door at night so that I could sleep. But overall, yeah, I mean, that was a lot of fun. So in the Crown Plaza in the hotel, that's where Bill Murray and his brothers opened up the Caddyshack restaurant. We decided to go there for dinner and everything, and that was a lot of fun. Ended up buying a t-shirt, which you'll see right here is this Bill Murray shirt, which has the image of him is from the poster from Stripes, and then as you can tell on the bottom it says, "I hope this is the only bill you will receive today." And what was cool too is that because it hasn't been open that long, and we were both basically buying some souvenirs, I believe it was the assistant manager who was right there, who's really, really nice to us, and he gave us cards that, if we wanted to come back that weekend, that we could, if we got something to eat, we could also get a free drink, which obviously by that point we're just like, well, obviously we're coming back at some point in the weekend. Everything got to hang out again. Jerry's one of my best friends, so it was really great for us to hang out for the rest of the evening, and then we called it a night. Friday, got up, went downstairs, got my coffee. We were killing time until the tickets went on sale at 1 o'clock. We decided to go down at around 2. And even though we had pre-bought our tickets, you have to check in and you get your, your wristband and everything that you wear all weekend. And so we got those, and then we went back up to the room until the doors opened at 3, and then we went down and started the convention. At most conventions I go to, I usually try as best I can to get most of my autographs done on Friday. It's usually a lot more laid back. People aren't as hungover as they are for the rest of the weekend. So I usually find it's like the best day to get as many autographs as you can. I also find it's also the best day to get your photo ops out of the way if you're doing any. I did get 2 of the costume photo ops, and those were only done on Saturday, but all the other photo ops I was getting, I got done on Friday. So Flashback this year they had sort of a couple different reunions going on. The main 2 was a Child's Play reunion and a Fright Night reunion, and then they also had a couple people from Friday 13th, the Final Chapter, sort of more of a mini reunion, and then they had a couple other guests sort of spattered about. I decided, just from a financial standpoint, basically, so Fright Night is one of my favorite films. It's my favorite, not only my favorite vampire film, but literally one of my favorite films. So them doing a Fright Night reunion really meant a lot to me personally. So I wanted most of my effort to go towards Fright Night. I did decide, since I couldn't afford to get all the Child's Play people and everything, I decided like, well, you know what? I'm going to though get the group photo op. So I at least have that, because I've actually started to find that actually the photo ops I've gotten over the years have become actually some of my favorite things, and in some cases even more so than the autographs I've gotten. Especially any group reunion photos. Those have really been my favorite. To actually start things off, so I got on Friday, so I got my Child's Play photo op. So going from left to right, it's Fiona Dorf, who was in, I believe, the last 2 Child's Play movies, and she's obviously also the daughter of Brad Dourif, who you can see there in the center. Next to her is Tom Holland, the writer-director of the original Child's Play and also a Fright Night. And like I said, Brad Dourif, and there's me. There's Christina Leese, who was in Child's Play 2. And then finally, Alex Vincent, who was obviously in Child's Play 1 and 2 and does have a cameo in a later film, which I won't spoil, although I guess technically I sort of did. And then shortly after that, I was able to get my Friday the 13th, the final chapter photo op. So they had, like I said, they sort of had a mini reunion. Now, I have a Friday the 13th final chapter poster I've been getting signatures on for the last couple of years, and I don't have too many, so the more I can get on there, the better. So went and got my photo op, and going from left to right, of course, it's Peter Barton, Ted White, me, Judy Aronson, and then finally Lawrence Moneson. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. And then finally, we got to the 2 Fright Night photo ops. So one of the ones that I really wanted to get was, you could obviously do the full group one, and there was also another option where it was just with the 3 leads. Now, again, Fright Night is so special to me. It's one that I really connected with the characters. To just get a photo op with just the 3 of them was really, really special to me. So when I saw that that was an option, I could not say no. So here's me with the 3 leads. Left to right, Stephen Jeffries, Amanda Bierce, me, and William Ragsdale. And they were so nice. You know, it's a lot of times nice. Another nice thing about Fridays, again, it's more laid back. Usually with photo ops, you move really fast in and out. And this, when I went in, they were like, they came up and they introduced themselves and asked me what my name was and everything. And usually you don't get that at photo ops. So that was really special, because again, they're not busy on Fridays. That's the beauty of it. And after a couple of minutes, went and got the group Fright Night one. Going from left to right, starting at the top, of course, is Steve Johnson, who did the makeup effects in the film, Jonathan Stark, Amanda Bierce, William Ragsdale, and then in the front, Stephen Jeffries, me, and Tom Holland. So then after that, I went and got all my autographs. Well, as many as I could on Friday. I did not get all of them on Friday, but I did try and get as many as I could. I decided to start off with the Friday 13th people and sort of get those done out of the gate. So I went and met Peter Barton first, then Lawrence Moneson, and then Judy Aronson, and then finally the man himself, Ted White, who is 92 years old. I mean, guy works with John Wayne, for crying out loud. All of them could not have been nicer. They were so sweet. And again, that's 4 more signatures I have on my final chapter poster. Have a lot more to go, but I got some good people on there already. And then finally I went over to started getting some of the Fright Night people. And first up I went to was Amanda Bierce. Is it Bierce or Bears? So I used to say Bears. I heard it was Bierce. So I don't know. It's Bierce or Bears. So whichever you prefer. And she was so sweet. I mean, she could, and even though it hadn't been that long, she's still, it's like she still remembered me when I went up to her table. And she was like, Richard. I'm obviously not just a huge fan of Fright Night, but I'm a huge fan of Married with Children. I grew up watching Married with Children too. So that was really cool. We got to kind of talk about sort of both of those. And I kind of debated for the longest time. So I have an original Fright Night poster, and I sort of debated whether or not I wanted it signed, because I love the poster so much. And part of me was just like, do I want to get it signed? Do I not? But because they were almost all there, I mean, Chris Sarandon wasn't there. So I decided to go ahead and get signatures on. So she signed my Fright Night poster. I also got some 8x10s. And then went over to William Ragsdale's table and got to talk to him for a little bit, and again got him on the poster. Went over to Jonathan Stark and everything, and he was really cool, and he's actually a big horror film fan, so that was really great to talk to him. And Stephen Jeffries, I believe, had a photo op or something, so I actually wasn't able to get him on Friday, so I went back on Saturday. So that autograph wise, that was it for Friday. So I had some time to kill, and I ran into John Kitley, who's a friend of mine I've known for several years. He runs Kitley's Crypt. He does a lot of conventions. Some of you, I'm sure, probably met him at some point, and I hadn't seen him since, obviously since I moved. So he and I were talking for like an hour, and it was really great. And then all of a sudden, at one point, I sort of noticed the time. I was like, oh my God, I got to get to the Child's Play screening that's going on outside. So they brought everyone out there who was there from Child's Play, and everything, and the sequels, and they did a half an hour Q&A, and then they showed the movie outside. And what was cool was after that, then Jerry and I went to the bar, and we ordered some food, and then John Kitley from earlier, as well as our friend Jill. She sells like t-shirts, sweatshirts, and a whole lot of cool stuff. Her booth is Licks, so you may have even seen her. She does a lot of conventions as well. Someone else I've known for years. Oh, and her husband Greg, Jerry and I ran into him on Thursday night, and we were talking for a while, which was really cool. So it's always cool to see all these people again. But they were down there, so they came up and sat at our table, and we were talking until like 1:30 in the morning. All four of us, and it was so much fun. I had such a great time. And then we called it a night because Saturday was the big day. Got up Saturday morning, got my coffee, came back to the room, down my coffee, got in the shower, got ready, because this was the big day. Mainly because most of the people I knew were coming on Saturday, including our friend Kelsey, and Jerry had a friend of his coming in, and then one of my other best friends, Rob, was coming in with our friend Dean, because they live in Milwaukee, so they were driving down. They got there early, so as soon as I was ready, I went downstairs, and we all met up. I was able to meet Tom Holland. He's fantastic. If you ever get a chance to meet him at a convention, he is fantastic. He's so very welcoming and very has a lot of stories and everything. I mean, it was just really, really great. And then I was able to go and get Stephen Jeffries finally. He's a little bit more subdued, but once you actually start talking to him, he's very, very cool. Really, really like talking to him. Now, I did have the two main photo ops, the costume photo ops on Saturday. So the first one, which is really cool, is the Fright Night one with Stephen Jeffries in his vampire makeup. Now, because Steve Johnson was there, who did the makeup effects for Fright Night, he's the one who actually did the makeup for the photo op. Sometimes you kind of just have someone else doing it, but you actually now have the guy from the film doing the actual makeup. And I sort of wanted something a little kind of goofy, so I sort of made the joke pointing to my neck like, hey, I want to become a vampire. And Evil Ed's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't know how well it looks in the photo, but seriously, his makeup up close was phenomenal. And then I got the sort of priciest photo op of the weekend, but for me, it's a really awesome one. And because they had a bunch of Jasons there from a bunch of the different films. Now, I'd already met the other ones. Ted White, for me, was the new one, but I had to get this photo op. So, as you can tell in the photo op, so it's all the Jasons in their costumes, left to right. Ted White, who obviously from Final Chapter. Tom Morga, who's Jason in Part 5. CJ Graham, who is Jason in Part 6, Jason Lives. Ken Kurtzinger from Freddy vs. Jason. And then finally Stephen Dash from Part 2. And I adore this photo. I put this photo underneath my Jason statue because I didn't really have anything to actually go under my statue, because the design of my statue it's technically Part 3, but it also has a couple elements from Part 4 worked into it. So I just figured this was actually just a perfect photo to go underneath my statue. Now, some people have said, like, why would you pay all that money to get them? Technically it could be anyone in those Jason costumes. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Yes, it could. But the thing is, I know it's them. Me knowing it's them makes it special. So I don't regret getting it at all. It's really, really an amazing one for me. And then Saturday night, they had the Fright Night screening outside. And what was cool is actually unlike Friday night for Child's Play, we were sitting kind of towards the back. But for Fright Night, we were actually right up front. So luckily I had my camera on me and was able to get some photos during the Q&A. So they did a half an hour Q&A with everyone, which was amazing. So many good stories, and just you could tell everyone was just having such a good time. And there's the big inflatable screen that they use outside. Kind of a funny thing. So the Q&A ended, and then they were about to start the movie. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if they blew a fuse or what, but all of a sudden the big inflatable screen started to deflate. And you could tell everyone was struggling to figure out what the heck was going on. Amanda Bierce, without hesitating a moment, who luckily was still there, because I think everyone else had actually, the other Fright Night people had gone back inside. Luckily, she was still there. She goes running to the front and just does an impromptu Q&A, for anyone who had questions. And they kept struggling with this screen. Like, this went on for, I think, like 25 minutes where they were trying to figure out, because at one point it's like they got it working again, and then they blew it and screen deflated. Like, that happened 3 times before they actually got it up and running. And she stayed the whole time doing this Q&A. I mean, if there's a rock star for the weekend, it's definitely her, because she did not have to do that at all. And again, no one asked her to. They got it all working, and then they showed the movie. And no matter how many times I watched Fright Night, I mean, I adore that film so much. And so the movie ended, went back inside, reconnected with some friends, like my friends Bob and Sandy, who were there, which was really cool because they did me a huge favor. They went to Living Dead Weekend back in June, and I could not afford to go, but I had some posters to get signed because they were doing a big 40th anniversary of Dawn of the Dead. And I have a Dawn of the Dead poster I've been getting signatures on for years, and there were a couple people there I really wanted to get. So I sort of asked Bob, I was like, if I send you my posters, like, can you get them signed for me? Like, I'll pay you back. And he said, sure. So he was able to get them signed from some of the people there, which was nerve-wracking when I mailed them. Because, again, these are original posters. I have signatures on them, including people who, like, unfortunately, George Romero, who has passed on. So it was like, in the shipping process, from the time they left here until they got to his house, I was a wreck for those, couple days that it took. But he got those signed for me, and I was so grateful. So I was able to get them back, which was a big deal. A bunch of us, we just hung out all night. Oh, actually, on Saturday, Jerry and I did go back to the Caddyshack restaurant and to eat, along with our friend Kelsey. So Jerry and I did get our free drinks. So we did start drinking a little early, and we drank some more that evening. The Zombie Army bus was also there, and if you're not familiar with the Zombie Army bus, they have free drinks. You can get free beer or free Jack and Coke, and even if you try and pay them, they refuse it. Obviously, you have to be of age and everything, which obviously I am. I had to watch carefully how much I drank, although I did have a bit. I still had to be very careful because I did not want to wake up on Sunday with a hangover. So just had a lot of fun with friends on Saturday. Again, it was so great seeing everybody, and some of them, oh man, I swear I just miss them so much. I mean, it's nice talking to everybody online, but it's just not the same. When you actually get to hang out in person, it's like I miss that more than anything. And then Sunday got up, and I had to, get everything packed and everything because I was checking out the hotel, but so wanted to just hang out on the convention a little bit. I wanted to go back and get Stephen Jeffries again so I could get him on that photo op and everything, which I did. So I got him to sign the photo op and got another picture with him. And as you can tell in the picture, I was wearing my Hitchcock shirt that day, which prompted a conversation that, so we talked about Hitchcock a little bit. It was just actually just a really great conversation and everything. So I was really happy to see him one last time. And Jerry and I decided to get Brad Dourif. I went back and I really wanted to get Brad Dourif, but he was also very expensive. So I had to see how much money I had at the end of the weekend, and luckily I had enough. Got to meet Brad Dourif. I mean, the man's a legend. Although surprisingly, he did not have much there to get signed. I was kind of hoping for an Exorcist 3 8x10 or something, but he didn't. He just had this one, which was fine because it was as of his face and everything, so I was okay with that. And I got him on my Halloween poster, which I've had since before Halloween came out. I've been getting signatures on it all these years, slowly but surely. I've actually got a ton on there already, but I'm still missing a couple people. Obviously, some people like Rob Zombie and his wife. Yeah, it's kind of one of those sort of ongoing things where I kind of feel like it's a never-ending thing to get signatures on this poster. One day it'll be enough where I can sort of call it closed. And then that was it. Jerry and I kind of said our goodbyes, sadly, and then I hit the road. Very long drive. I don't know if I'm going to drive next time or not. Kind of say I'll play by ear. It's not that it's not doable. It's just a long drive. That's all. And as with any convention, obviously I did get a couple things. So from Liz, who runs Licks, I got some 2 very cool sweatshirts. I've gotten several of her sweatshirts over the years. I just love them to death. So she had this really cool one of the fog. As you can tell, it's got the image on the back and on the sleeves, and then the images on the front with the quotes. I mean, it's just fantastic. And then this amazing one from Fright Night with, as you can tell, it's got Vampire Jerry Dandridge on the back, and the quotes on the sleeve, and then front, the images on the front. Oh man, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have got to have that. From horror merch, I got some t-shirts, including this very cool Fright Night one which I love. This Friday 13th game one of the, the NES cover. And then this Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 t-shirt, which is cool because it glows in the dark. And actually, I did wear it the other day and actually forgot about it. And then actually, I did notice it was glowing in the dark. So it actually does work. And then obviously I had to get this Snake Plissken one. Anything Escape from New York, I have to get it right away. And this one guy was selling a bunch of magnets. Now I have this one shelving thing that has a metal frame. It had a couple magnets I put on it, and I was like, actually, that's kind of cool. So this guy had a bunch of movie poster magnets, so I decided to get them. A bunch of really cool ones and stuff. Well, cool ones for me. You may think differently, but shame on you if you do. Joel Robinson was there, the artist. You may know him. He's done some of the Scream Factory stuff, and I've gotten stuff from him over the years, and he's so incredibly talented, and he's also one of the coolest guys you can meet. So I got 2 art prints by him. I got this one from Halloween. You can tell Michael Myers coming in through the closet, and also this very cool one from Psycho, of the Psycho house. And he also had this Jason print, which he had several years ago but sold out of, and then he found like another 4, so he brought him with him to the show. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, I missed out on that last time. I've got to have it. Did go by the Full Moon table, that was there too, and they had the new Laser Blast sort of VHS mock-up of the Blu-ray. Laser Blast means a lot to me personally because it was the first film I ever rented on VHS as a kid. So it has very special meaning to me. So I have the regular Blu-ray that I got months ago. And then they released this sort of special sort of VHS packaging of the Blu-ray, and they had it there, so I definitely had to pick it up. And then they also had the little doll of the alien, and they had 2 versions of it, like the regular version and then this other one that glows in the dark. So obviously had to get both of those. And then this other seller there had the reaction Alfred Hitchcock figures. I've been wanting to get those since last year, but every time I see them, they're like $15 to $20. So I kept saying like, yeah, I'll get it eventually. And this guy had them these 2 there for 10. Perfect time. I'm going to get them right now. And even though I'm trying to limit how many posters I'm buying nowadays because I have too many as it is, I'm never going to display anywhere close to any of them. That doesn't mean if I don't find anything special that I don't grab at it. And I did find a Fright Night Part 2 poster. I've wanted a Fright Night 2 poster for the longest time. Usually when I see them, especially of this version, I see the video poster, not the theatrical. And I finally found the theatrical version, so I bought that immediately. I'm so excited to have it. Again, just one of those I've wanted for the longest time. And then my big purchase from the weekend is this artist made this really cool bust of the Wolfman from the Universal's The Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. And that's actually my favorite of the Universal monster movies. And I kept walking back and forth past it all day Friday and most of Saturday. And then finally towards the end of Saturday, I had to go up and just be like, how much and stuff. And we worked out a deal and everything. Still a little pricey, but not insane, especially since again it's something that it's not something that was manufactured on a grand scale. It was an artist who literally made it on his own. He sculpted it and painted it, and it's like that's part of what you're paying for. I could not say no. I mean, this is now in the picture, that's not its final place where it's going to go. That's sort of just where it's at the moment, but you can tell by the 12-inch Jack Burton figure I have next to him by the size. It is a life-size head sculpt, and the pictures don't even do it justice. It just looks amazing in person. So that was my experience at Flashback Weekend. It's, as always, it's such a great time. It was so fantastic to meet everyone. I mean, all the guests were just so nice and everything, which is always a plus, especially the Fright Night people, because if any of them were mean, I think it would have devastated me because of how much that film means to me. So many great memories. And as always, like I try and do whenever I meet somebody, I was able to get my portrait shots of everyone, which if you don't know, I've been doing this for the last 5 years. Whenever I meet people, outside of getting a picture with them, I always try and get a picture of them with my camera. And it's just a really quick kind of just picture of them. And I have I think almost 200 pictures at this point of all the people I've met over the last couple of years. And it's just become really special. So I was happy I was able to get that with everyone at Flashback as well. the main thing was just seeing all my friends again. I missed them all terribly. So it was a big deal for me to see everybody that I did. So I know this is a little bit long, but I kind of wanted to, just kind of get everything in there. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.